Russ.
Awesome. Okay. First off, approval of the agenda. No, well, any amendments to the agenda? Yeah, I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. Then Angie, I think, needs to still be promoted. Oh.
I just promoted Angie. Momona.
Can I strike the community service mini fund appointment?
Okay, got it. Are there any other amendments? I'm going to strike FICOM general member appointment for Dane because ARC hasn't interviewed him yet.
Okay, are there any other amendments? If not, can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
I move to approve the November 9th agenda minutes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Tay motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 10-0, the motion passes and the agenda for this week is approved. Awesome. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for last week. I believe it was November 2nd. I hope everyone had a chance to review the minutes. If I could get a motion for that.
I move to approve November 2nd minutes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Tay motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great, and by a vote of 11-0, the motion passes and the minutes for last week are approved. Great, moving straight into public comment. Public comment is a time for any member of the public that would wish to speak to council to have the opportunity to speak. Every member of the public is granted 2 minutes to speak for 2 minutes and the opportunity to speak once. So at this time, if any member, remember to use respectful language, challenge ideas, not individuals, and use gender inclusive and respectful language. And remember that freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. Great. So if you are in the public at this time and would like to speak, please go ahead and raise your hand. And yeah, let's add Sarah before, and then let's go ahead and I will promote any member of the public. If you are in the public at this time and would like to speak, please raise your hands. I don't see any member of the public with their hands raised. So going once, going twice. With that, I close public comment at 7:05 p.m. Great. Moving into funding, capital contingency, Jenny. Actually, I'm not sure Jenny is with us right now. So we will go ahead and move straight to Moment at SFS.
Can we come back to me? I'm just getting the total amount right now. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah. SWC, Taylani.
I'm so sorry, y'all. I had the doc open and I have so many tabs open right now. But yeah, is there anyone after me that can go first?
Yeah, no worries. EVP, Sarah.
Sorry, would I be able to make an amendment to the agenda now to strike bag? I missed it earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, just go ahead and strike him, Ms. Cass. Great.
Cool, thank you.
I can
No
go.
worries. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Tay.
Sorry. Okay, I can go ahead and go. It's not the total amount, so I'm just gonna like go one by one if that's okay. So okay, we voted for one non-USAC entity. We allocated $440. Another non-USAC entity, we allocated $550. Another non-USAC entity, we allocated $200, and then another, our last one, another non-USAC entity, we allocated $300. Sorry, it's not the total.
No worries, Tay. That's really
So the total
good.
is $1,490, $1,490.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Josh.
So
No problem. I was calculating. That was not off the top of my head.
I was like, wow, he's a genius. Great. Okay. So can I, if there's no objection to that number? Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Tay. ASRF, Ange?
Hi, we are allocating $2,000 to one non-USAC entity.
Okay, awesome. Are there any objections to ASRF? If not, thank you so much, Ange. Travel Grant Mini?
Yes, so we are allocating $700 to one USAC entity and $5,427.50 to 7 non-USAC entities. And this is for the period between like October 23rd to now. Yeah, I had intended to present last council, but my committee that handles TGMF was going through like some transition. So yeah, that's why we had a little delay, but yeah.
No worries, Ange. No, thank you so much. Great. Are there any objections? And I'm glad people are using the funds this year because that was such an issue last year. Yay. Prom? For
Hi
ARC?
everyone. So ARC, we finished our second fall funding cycle, and allocated a total of $12,000 and $12,120.82 to 7 non-USAC entities.
Okay, awesome. Are there any objections? If not, thank you so much, Prom. TGIF, Jane?
Hi, yeah. For TGIF, we allocated $2,733.06 to non-USAC entities.
Are there any objections? Going once, going twice? Awesome. Okay. If there are no further objections, thank you so much, Jane. Great. Moving straight into special presentations.
Wait, I
to
need to go really quickly. Sorry.
Of course. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so for SFS this week, we funded a total of $2,018.17 to 5 organizations, 1 CSC org, and 4 non-CSC organizations. Or sorry, 2 CSC organizations and 3 non-CSC organizations.
Okay, are there any objections? If not, thank you so much, Momina. And Jenny just asked. So yeah, Jenny, take it away for capital and contingency.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I am currently about to watch Hamilton, but I'm trying to find the thing that I sent you guys yesterday. We're doing capital contingency first. So we are finally allocating funds for capital contingency. It is $3,146 to 3 USAC entities. Let me put that in the chat. And so, sorry. And so this would be our first capital contingency allocation for this school year. I really appreciate like the thought and effort that you guys had like put into your application. So just wanted to shout out the offices who did that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. Are there,
Breeze,
yeah.
that's actually got to be a vote.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to allocate $3,146 to 3 USAC entities for capital contingency.
Can I get a second, please?
A second.
Jane motions. Emily seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and capital contingency is approved. Great. Can I get contingency programming? Jenny?
Yes. Okay. So contingency programming is $11,686.96 to 21 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity. And let me drop the spreadsheet in the chat as well.
Awesome. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve $11,686.96 to 21 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity.
Can I get a second, please?
I second.
Tay motions and seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great. And by a vote, oh, Sarah, sorry, and Natalia? Natalia, sorry. She might be having issues. So by a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, the motion passes. And contingency programming for this week is approved. Awesome. Thank you so much, folks. We're done with funding. Josh, I wanted to ask a really quick question. If I wanted to make the amendment to the agenda, can I make it or do I have to get a vote?
For what would you like to do? Sorry.
I want to add admin at the table.
Admin at the table?
Yeah, we're gonna have UCA today.
And we have somebody lined up for it?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we'll do seat at the table first and then admin at the table?
Sounds good. Yeah, can I go, would I have to get a motion for that?
As long as there's no objections, we can add it. Okay. If there are objections, then we have to vote.
Okay, are there any objections to adding UCAFT? Going once, going twice? If not, thank you so much, Cass, for adding it. Can I please have council members who have already hands down, please, so I don't get confused. Thank you so much. Great. So we're going to go ahead and get started with seat at the table. So today we have MSA. I think I see Hadari in the waiting room. Cass, if you can go ahead and promote them.
I think they were just promoted. Was there anyone else?
No, I think that's it. So thank you so much, Daria, for coming to speak with us today. The floor is yours.
Hi, welcome. Good to see everybody. I am the external vice president of MSA. Just saw that this space was open and I wanted to introduce myself and some of the projects that MSA is working on in case USAC can help us achieve those projects, or like just to have that door of opportunity open between MSA and USAC. Do I have permission to share a screen, if that's okay?
You should, Cass. I don't know if you can enable that.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen, I think. Am I sharing my screen?
It says it's sharing. Oh, there we go. Now you are sharing.
Thank you. Sorry. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
We can.
Does anybody know how to, okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, I think I'm gonna keep this quick and easy, but the two biggest projects that we're working on is something that has been going on for a while, since like the I've heard stories from the 1990s, 1980s, but who knows how far this problem has, it's probably been a problem as long as Muslim students have been on campus, but our community this year is really focused on trying to get an outdoor prayer space for our community. So if you don't know, hold on, Muslims pray 5 times a day. And what that means is for most of our prayers, at least 4 out of the 5 prayers, we're praying on campus. So you can see like some of the times here, we have to pray at 11:48 a.m. Then another time for prayers like 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m. So these are all usually times when students are on campus. And, you know, prayer is an obligation for us. So having to pray on campus is something that like we've come accustomed to. And so just having like a feasible prayer space is really important to our identity as Muslims to be able to practice our religion and be at school. So this is where we currently pray at. It's behind Kirchhoff for those who are familiar, and the times of prayer are, it's a window of opportunity. So you can pray at 2 p.m. until 4 p.m., but basically from like 6 p.m. you'll find people praying in congregation, not in congregation, but that window from like 11 to 6, people are always praying. And usually it's behind Kirchhoff where there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of cars and staff parked. And it's just, it's sometimes difficult to pray in a space that's not yours, right? So we don't want to feel like we're taking up more space than we should, but also this is an obligation for us to pray. There's been issues of like women feeling uncomfortable when they pray. And there's like issues of lighting. Last week, we've had a couple of rainy days. There's an issue of like trying to rebook a space so we can pray inside somewhere. And the problem really comes when we don't have a place of our own. It feels like we're in the way. If I can go back to that last slide, or I think there's another. So this photo here, like, I think is a better encompassing photo of where we're sitting. We're almost in the way of traffic going into Kirchhoff. You can see on the left side, there's that staff vehicle parked to the side. They're coming in and out all the time. There's those little robots coming in and out. And the problem, like our biggest thing is we don't want to feel like we're in the way of foot traffic, of staff obligations. And so we're really just looking to get a space of our own so that, you know, we're in addition to UCLA and not a burden in anybody. So this is our proposed space. We've had conversations with some administration about working on this. This is the little area behind Ackerman, and it's not very heavily used. It's a little area with not a lot of foot traffic. So that's just to update you guys on our proposed location. But basically, I just wanted to introduce the idea that Muslims on campus sometimes struggle with praying, especially when it's raining. And we pray 5 times a day. 4 of those prayers are usually on campus, and there's no like official prayer space for us without sometimes feeling like we're taking up space or we're in a place where we can feel fully comfortable. The conversations I've had with administration have been good. And we have funding resources that are pretty optimistic to funding a prayer space. I just wanted to introduce this problem to USAC and introduce myself to USAC, just so we're aware of like future talks with administration and if my USAC would, you know, be able to help us further if that was to arise. Our second biggest project that I'm working on is getting halal food on campus on the dining halls. And those conversations have gone really good. I know UCLA has had a good relationship with the MSA, like UCLA Dining has had a good relationship with MSA in the past. Ramadan is a month for us where we fast, and you know, we spend a lot of the day not eating. So they've been super accommodating to that, providing like halal meals for us during Ramadan. And a lot of the halal options were disrupted because of COVID, because of companies going under, or like just processes of getting food. Those conversations have been optimistic, but a lot of Muslim students only eat halal food, which means that like they'll either eat halal food or vegan food. And so because of COVID, those options are extremely limited. And it's just another ongoing conversation that I'm having with administration that I wanted to share with USAC in case we run into any problems, and we can come to you guys for support, hopefully. But that's all I have that's all that I wanted to share. Again, I just wanted this to be an introduction to MSA projects and an introduction to myself. My name is Hadari, and I'm available if anyone has any further questions or comments or opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adari. Council members, do any of you have any questions? If not, just Hadari, feel free to reach out and let us know how we can support in any future projects that might arise. And thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. And so does everyone on council.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. And you're free to stay or leave. It's a long meeting, so if you want to leave, I get that too. Thank you. Great. Okay, so moving on to special presentations. We have admin at the table, UCAFT. Again, I believe that Caroline has already been promoted. So Caroline, you have the floor.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see you. Actually, let me turn some light on. There you go. Now you can see me. My colleague John Spranstetter is here too. I don't know if someone can let him in. We are just so honored to be here. We're so honored to have your support. As some of you have heard me say before, UCAFT is the union that represents lecturers. We teach 30% of classes at UCLA and often have the same training and credentials as our tenured colleagues, but we are hired on short-term temporary gigs. That means we have to reapply for our jobs every year, that we can't tell our students that we'll be around in 4 years when they might need a letter of recommendation as they're graduating. The median annual salary for a UC lecturer is around $20,000. And we have basically no job security. So we've been bargaining with the UC for nearly 2.5 years now. Many of you have heard me give this spiel before for that reason, because we have come asking for support many times. We are right now at a vital moment in our campaign. We have entered what's called impasse. It's a very fancy bureaucratic term for essentially that there's no ground to be made at the table in negotiations. And so that's why we're really trying to build as much support as we can outside of the bargaining negotiations to really impress upon President Drake and his administrators that they need to come to they need to make a deal with us and get this contract settled, so that we can keep teaching and mentoring our students, so that y'all can keep building relationships with your lecturers. And I'm happy to have some asks, but this is really about y'all and the resolution that you've written, which we are so deeply appreciative of. So I'll end there, and maybe I'll drop some more information into the chat. And John, did you want to add anything? I just saw you pop up.
Let's see. Yeah, sorry, I'm here. So I was caught in some kind of like weird like nether region of the Zoom, and so I don't know what was happening. Anyway, I won't say much more. Caroline said it so well. And again, we've been here before. You guys know a lot about our struggle. But I did want to just say thank you again, and to maybe share something with you that came out today in the LA Times. I mean, if you need any more, so we doubled up. But a great op-ed written by a former lecturer in the UC system about, precisely what it's like. And she compares our job situation to Squid Game, if you guys have seen that, right? And it really is like that. And it's such a difficult thing to do, to deliver you guys the highest possible education when we're, fighting tooth and nail just to keep our jobs. I mean, Caroline and I both we both of us have literally worked all day and not gotten paid for any of it. And I wish I could have just spent it getting my lectures ready for tomorrow and, answering emails and doing all the things that, make me a good teacher. And so anyway, your resolution is so helpful in helping us bring this fight with the UC to a close and helping us, to really make a difference, in the classroom for you guys. So, so check out that LA Times article. If you need it's behind a paywall. If you need access to it, I have a PDF and I couldn't get it to upload in the chat for some reason, but feel free to email me and I can send it to you. It's really moving. It's really incredible. And I'll stop there. So.
No, it's amazing. I opened it up right now. I'm looking forward to reading it after council. That's amazing. And thank you so much for updating us. And yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing this resolution pass later today. Thank you so much. Are there any questions from council members? Jane?
Yeah, I had a quick question. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I was just wondering if there are any specific action items that us as council members or students in general can take right now to support lecturers and UCAFT.
Jane, what a wonderful question. We love it. We have a bargaining session tomorrow. So if you're free from 2 to 4 p.m., you can RSVP for bargaining. I'll drop our link tree where you can find an RSVP form for that into the chat. During that bargaining session, we are also going to be asking folks to make phone calls to President Drake's office. I can provide a link for that. The action is up now. It hasn't officially gone out, but if you're feeling so inclined and you want to leave President Drake a message, there's a whole script there. You can also freestyle it, and we really encourage students in particular to speak in your voices as UC students, right? You guys are our strongest source of support because you actually see the work that we do, and the university likes to pretend that it doesn't exist. So having you guys tweet about us, post about us, make some calls, and even attend bargaining if you're feeling up to it is an incredible way for us to show the community support that we have, surface that solidarity that we've built. And if you are interested in, and you're able to attend bargaining, please do email John. He's going to be doing the community room, and he'll be sure to sort of usher you into the main bargaining room so that you can share the fact that you're considering a resolution, or hopefully you've passed a resolution, in our support. I think that would be really powerful. You guys are student leaders, and we are so appreciative to have your support. It means so much. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's going to be more coming fairly soon. So we'll definitely keep you in the loop with all of the developments as they unfold. But yeah, bargaining tomorrow would be amazing. The other thing that you can do is, if you know already who among your teachers are lecturers, just tell them that you support them, right? It makes a big difference to I mean, Caroline and I are activists. We're doing this all the time, but there's a whole lot of lecturers who, they don't realize how much their students are behind them. So, just give them a kind word, tell them you support them, you support a fair contract for them, and, just let them know they're loved. And, that goes a long way.
That's going to be any of your writing instructors, any of your language classes. Those are most often taught by lecturers. I teach in labor studies. John teaches in poli-sci. It's a little bit different there, but many of our members are really shy to tell their students about what they're going through because they don't want to trouble you with that. We know y'all have struggles of your own. We know that housing is too expensive for all of us to afford. We know that we're all struggling to get by in this crazy mixed up world these days. But yeah, what John is saying is so important. Our members, showing that you care means the world to us. And we just love love for you to share that support with your the lecturers in your life.
Mhm. Yeah, and share it with your friends too. Like, I mean, if you can pass, you guys, I mean, one of the things we're really grateful for, and just having the opportunity to speak to you all, is that you guys are probably the most connected students at like UCLA. Anything you can put through your networks, anything you can tell your groups, your other organizations that you're involved with. We just need as many students like behind us as possible. And I think the biggest challenge is not so much persuading folks. Like once people hear what's going on, it's pretty like obvious, but just, so many people don't even realize that there's a difference between, this class difference between their professors. And so anything you guys can do to get the word out within your social networks would be, amazing. And if any of you happen to have a meeting with President Drake, tell him to sign the contract. But anyway, yeah, everything you guys have done has already been wonderful, so we really appreciate it.
I'll be sure to tell him at my next meeting with him. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Are there any questions from council members? If not, thank you both so much. And I know it's a long night, so if you want to come back, maybe I feel like in an hour we might be at the resolution. Because yeah, go get dinner, feed yourself. And yeah, we'll let you know, hopefully. Great. Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
And you guys are as well. Thank you. Jane, TGIF.
Yes. Cass, can you promote Cheryl, please?
Yeah, I'll promote her right now.
Okay, well, she's being promoted. Well, obviously you guys all know who I am, but Cheryl is my TGIF vice chair, and I will let her introduce herself. But we are basically here just to give you a presentation about TGIF, and like obviously you guys can all apply to it as a fund too, and we really want to like expand people's knowledge and outreach in TGIF this year, and like feel free to give like notes and stuff on the presentation too. But Cheryl, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll share my screen.
Yes, hi everyone. So my name is Cheryl. I am a fourth year, and I'm also the vice chair of TGIF. This is my second year participating in the fund or being a grant making committee member. And yeah, Jane and I just wanted to share a little bit about what we do.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so this is just what we're going to present to you today, which is kind of like, what is TGIF? Okay, and then so here are the things that we're kind of going over, like an intro to the Green Initiative Fund. So for logistics, like about the fund, how can you apply to the fund? What is the application process like? And then what do we fund? What's unique about TGIF? What's our mission? And then a little note at the end about the UC-wide single-use plastics policy.
All right, so some general information about the Green Initiative Fund. Similar to a lot of other funding bodies, TGIF comes from student fees, and it's based off of a referendum that was passed in 2008. There actually are TGIFs in, I believe, 2 other UC schools, and they specifically focus on, well, it's the Green Initiative Fund, so things related to sustainability, the environment, etc. And so it is a $5 fee from students, and in total sums up to about $250,000 as a base value that's allocated each year towards TGIF for the people on the board, the committee members to vote and to reallocate to benefit sustainability on campus. And then also TGIF gets surplus, which typically gets to be about $200,000 a year, and that is an additional allocation that comes to TGIF usually around winter quarter. And the main point is that TGIF money needs to benefit undergraduate students and sustainability on campus.
Awesome. So how can you apply to TGIF? So there's several funding deadlines a quarter. They're always open online at tgif.ucla.edu. So TGF Mini Fund is up to $1,000, and there are deadlines Fridays of week 2, 4, 6, and 8. Main Fund is up to $10,000, and their deadlines. The deadline is Friday, week 2 of every quarter. And then Capital Infrastructure Fund is if you want to apply for more than $10,000, and there is a rolling deadline for that. But it's just like a cognito forms that you apply through online. And then after that, the committee reviews your application, which Cheryl will talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, so here's some details on the specific funding process. So first you go through the cognito forms link that was in the past slide. You answer all the questions, submit the form, and then the committee, which is myself, Jane, I believe 3 other undergraduate students and a faculty member, all review and then vote to either fund it, partially fund it, not fund it, or fund it like contingent to some sort of like clause, for example. Like a lot of times we'll be like, we'll fund it as long as you have like aren't using Amazon, or you've exhausted every other possibility that isn't Amazon. And then that creates an account with SGA equal to the amount of money that we granted. Afterwards, a grant agreement is sent to the person who applied to the application. Not all funding bodies have a grant agreement, but because TGIF funds can often be like much larger, for example, the CapEx fund, which has like an infinite dollar amount, and oftentimes capital infrastructure funds can be like $100,000. And so we like create grant agreements kind of to create more contingency and create more accountability for the people who are applying to these funds. Once the grant agreements are signed, it's similar to a typical rec process in which there is a rec form that the applicant fills out, and then it's submitted to SGA, and then the funds are given out. So yeah, that's the TGIF funding process.
Awesome. So next is like kind of what do we fund and what don't we fund, because I think sometimes like boards are a bit can be a bit confused about this. So what we fund is like green events, like events that promote sustainability on campus. We have like funded large infrastructure projects on campus before. So like the hydration stations on campus, like those things where you can like fill up your water bottles and like you just get water, like those are funded through TGIF. The solar umbrellas on Kirkhoff that no longer really work were also funded through TGIF. But we can also fund like on a smaller scale, like honorariums for speakers. So if you have a speaker coming to your event and they're going to talk about environmental justice or social justice, we could fund a payment for them. And then also we fund a lot of like research and engineering type of projects. For example, like a group that commonly gets funded by TGIF builds like an electric vehicle every year. So we really like to fund projects that have an educational component to them, increase accessibility to sustainability. We'll talk more about that later as well, but those are just some examples. So some things we don't fund in our supplemental guidelines for this year are swag. So things like just like a mass amount of t-shirts or something like that, we won't fund just because those are still like inherently like pretty consumerist and unsustainable, even if they are from a sustainable source. And then we also don't fund things that are purchased from Amazon or Walmart, just by virtue of those being really unstable and unethical companies, and things like furniture that aren't necessarily like adding to sustainability at UCLA or environmental justice or like yeah, but it's each application is up to the discretion of the committee. So these aren't like hard and fast guidelines. So like if you're applying something and you really can't find it anywhere else except for Amazon, then we will fund it, but we prefer places that are like locally sourced.
All right, so what makes TGIF unique? Some of these are definitely really exciting and very different from all of the other funding bodies. The first one being that you don't have to be a part of a sole organization to apply. So whether you are just like an individual person who wants to do some sort of sustainability related activity on campus, or if you are a non-student organization or a non-student, such as staff or faculty or administration, you can still get TGIF funds. I like this a lot. It's definitely really empowering because you don't have to go through any form of institution in order to benefit sustainability on campus and get TGIF funding. Also, something that's really cool is that we can fund huge infrastructural projects. So like Jane said, funding the hydration stations or the solar powered umbrellas, these are like pretty large, oftentimes require institutional or administrative support in order for the projects to like actually be implemented on campus, but they do a lot for sustainability and student well-being. And through the nature of TGIF being a pretty large funding body and not having to have a sole organization apply, that is like the reason why we can fund these infrastructural projects. Also, something really unique is that written into the bylaws of TGIF is this idea that the money carries over each year. So I know some funding bodies, the leftover funds will go into like surplus, but TGIF, also by nature of having infrastructural projects that like might take over one school year to complete, all of our money carries over. So therefore, like we tend to have more money than other funding bodies.
Awesome. So this is kind of like what our TGIF mission is for this year, like some things that us as a committee have specifically talked about that we really want to fund. So we'd really love to find more non-traditional sustainability organizations and more justice-oriented projects and students. So that can come in like many different ways. A lot of people think you have to be doing an event like relating directly to sustainability to apply to TGIF, but that is definitely not true, as long as it's making a sustainability impact on campus. And sustainability can also like come in a lot like of ways. So it can look like talking about like social justice or like labor rights or general health and wellness. That is all included in sustainability. We also want to really increase our outreach and accessibility to sustainability, because we know that for a lot of students and a lot of student organizations, sustainability isn't always the most affordable option or the most accessible option. So we really want to make sure that we are supporting those student and organizations by providing them with monetary funding. And then this is just like our mission for this year, just to be clear. So like in the TGIF guidelines from the referendum, all projects have to benefit undergraduates and do something to move forward sustainability on campus. And then these are kind of the things that our specific committee for this year has decided that we want to focus on.
Something else, this is like one last note, is that we wanted to bring to y'all's attention is the incorporation of the UC-wide single-use plastics policy. So it's hyperlinked in this specific presentation. So hopefully y'all, if you're interested, you can go back through and pull up the hyperlink to the actual single-use plastics policy with all of the detailed language. But in summary, this policy aims to eliminate or prohibit single-use plastics on campus. What this means for TGIF is that no matter how great your application is, we will not fund anything that uses single-use plastics. So for example, if you are applying to do catering from a local business for some sort of sustainability related event, and the catering company only uses for like plastic cutlery and plastic silverware and dining, one, we will definitely try to connect that catering local business to UCLA's direct like contacts to try and get them to use UCLA's like non-plastic thing, like our compostable diningware. But if that is not the case, or like they aren't interested in that, we will not fund it no matter how great it is, just out of respect for the single-use plastics policy. This is definitely something that is going to slowly become more and more phased into our guidelines, but I wanted to talk about it now because if anyone here also is on a funding body, it is definitely a conversation that I'd encourage you to have with your funding body as well. There's no like implementation, there's no regulation of it. Like no one will get in trouble for funding something that doesn't follow the single-use plastics policy, but it's something that we do want to slowly phase out, just because single-use plastics are definitely really bad for the environment. TGIF specifically is going to incorporate the single-use plastics policy into our bylaws. So if you're curious about the language that we're going to use for that, and also we're going to have a list of sustainable alternatives, definitely contact me. I put my email in there. I'm also going to put it in the chat because I definitely have more to say about the incorporation of single-use plastics policies into funding bodies and how to say no to plastic bag, as it says on that slide. But yeah, that is just like a kind of a bit of a side note that I wanted to add about TGIF.
Awesome. Okay, so this is last slide, so you can contact us, at my fac email or the TGIF email or on Instagram at TGIF@UCLA. Also, fun fact, Jessica and now Fernando is the TGIF, like Fernando's proxying for Jessica as the TGIF grant coordinator. So they also are super helpful and know a ton about the fund. But that was basically all we had. If anybody has any questions, obviously feel free to message me or Cheryl or us or ask them now. But yeah, thanks guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Jane, you do so much. Cheryl, we really appreciate y'all both. Does anyone have any questions right now? Going once, going twice. If not, Jane, thanks so much. Great. So we will go ahead and go on to Lucy. Jenny, you have the floor. Actually, I'm not sure if she's here.
I think she messaged me on Slack like earlier asking to move her appointments to next week. So I'll strike it.
Oh, perfect. I don't think Simone had texted me. I think she had a meeting right now. I don't think Emily. Do you know if Simone's going to be able to make it?
I emailed her, didn't get a reply yet.
Okay, so I texted her. I know she's in a work meeting right now. Maybe she'll come later in the night.
Okay.
Which then we would be able to do it later at night. Hold on one sec. Let me pull out then. I was expecting appointments, but let me move on to pull up my notes for my officer report. Okay, awesome. So this week in the Recovery and Response Task Force meeting, we discussed how there are about 330 students who have still not received both vaccinations. Some students responded already, so it's down to 306. And we kind of were going through what at this point in time, since the students have not been listening to these policies, what it would look like to kind of either one, not allow them to enroll in their classes for the winter quarter because those holds are already being placed, or to start looking into another means of probably punishing the students. I kind of was interested into looking into seeing about what these punishments were look like. And I know that Dean Rush had expressed that a potential punishment might be something around a deferred suspension, which I really hope that students can be made well aware of, because obviously it would be really terrible if a student ends up with a deferred suspension if they are not able to receive the vaccine or they haven't reported to administration as to why they cannot. So hopefully my team will work on that this coming week to see if there's ways that we can reach out to those students. And I know the students have been already reached out to via email, and I also suggested that they possibly receive a phone call. Maybe students might actually listen to that, because I know we receive so many emails. So hopefully something can be done. Either way, that would be coming in the winter quarters, so we do have time to hopefully work on that, so that students will face penalties like that. I met with the UCSB president, and we kind of discussed on her end how the Student Advocate Board has a position again within their ASUC and how we can implement it here in the best way, given the term that it's a short term that is left not necessarily a short term, but we're like halfway done with our terms. My office also met with the New York Times to discuss expanding again what we had said about New York Times subscriptions. I know that was something that Naomi had worked on, and we're making good progress on it. We should have an update soon once the numbers are calculated through the New York Times. Our first CAB meeting is scheduled for hopefully Sunday evening. That's really exciting. I know, like, I've been in attendance to like all the MO meetings, and my team within CAB has been as well, but moving forward, we hope to like include other voices in the space as well. And if y'all would like to be included in these meetings, please be sure to message me, and I could loop in my CAB members so that they can loop y'all into these meetings that would probably happen this week Sunday. We have concluded that FSLCC that for right now will be fully remote. We are planning to have it remote both sessions just so that the more students can participate. Yeah. And then our future student leaders of color conference, no, our fellowship have been released at this point. If y'all know any high school or community college students, please go ahead and send it to them. It's going to be a great opportunity for students that to be a bit more involved or hopefully learn a bit from all of y'all. And, I really hope that some of y'all can also come out and be a part of these spaces moving forward. And yeah, our office also launched the online mental health platform. If y'all can, please go ahead and check it out. And if you are interested, please go ahead and share it with your networks. And my team also attended a meeting for basic needs. And I believe Emily and Tay were also in attendance. And through the meeting, we just kind of discussed how EBT for ASUCLA is finally going through its final processes. So that's very exciting, and spending plans should be on the basic needs website. So admin is also currently trying to find ways to distribute food leftovers instead of throwing it out. So that was always discussed, and I think a follow-up meeting should be happening. That is all from me. Cass, you have the floor.
From IVP office, the Mobilize the Masses directors are beginning their social media series about social justice in 2 weeks, introducing vaccine equity. And then I think I mentioned this last week, but we just met with CARE to wrap up more logistics about the SBSH student org toolkit that we're trying to create in conjunction with SOUL. We also finalized plans for a CARE development, and then I'm meeting with my marketing team and also my outreach team to start a social media series to promote student org events, opportunities, etc. on our actual IG feed. So supporting student orgs and their outreach efforts, not just through like the leadership lobby or like SOUL, but on like Instagram and all of that. Yeah, and then the IVP office is planning a 2-day de-stressing final event. And then we just reached out to SDVC and AAC about that. So please look at your email if y'all can, Tay and Angie. And then we're recruiting more people to join the leadership lobby. And right now we have over like 100 student leaders in the Slack channel, which is pretty good. And then finally, I'm in communication with Good Clothes, Good People because they just reopened their clothing closet. So we're hoping to bring back like collaborations with them, just like in the past. And then I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Thank you, Cass. Great work as always. For my report today, I'll start out with my office and then I'll move on to some UCSA updates. So first for my office, internally, we're almost ready to get started with Instagram Reels, and we're going to be doing like these updates just to keep people like civically engaged and like updated on things in a digestible format, and also be able to like incorporate some of UCLA's campus news and like some of the stuff that USAC is doing into that, so people are just plugged in on like social media. And then the Regents meeting is coming up, so we're doing some prep for that and reaching out for public comment. And then our civic engagement team is planning a winter quarter registration event, which will be on the Hill, just to get people registered, especially in time for the different local races coming up, which I'll touch on in a second, as well as the primaries for the midterm. And then as for external teams, we met with Korea from ASUCLA, and ASUCLA has like generously offered to support us in a lot of civic engagement related events. So we're going to be planning like town halls and candidate debates and different like turnout events for 3 races. So 1 city controller, 2 the mayoral race, and then 3 the city district 5 race. So those are coming up winter, spring quarter, and we're trying to figure out how to like have it go smoothly through the transition when our term kind of comes up, because that's the timeline of the election. And then our ops team is working on an internship / job spreadsheet / guide for people who are like interested in going into like government and politics. Just have that kind of pipeline there for people. And then as for UCSA, we actually just formalized a partnership between UCSA and the Free the Period Coalition. So that's super awesome work for our menstrual equity stuff. And let's see, President Drake also expressed support in the last meeting for providing free menstrual products across UC system. Yay. Still waiting on updates on that. As for Fund the UC, we actually secured a $550 increase to the maximum Pell Grant in the Build Back Better Act, and also was able to preserve eligibility for DACA recipients. And our local Congress members have been pretty supportive of our efforts there. So we're still working towards double the Pell, slowly but surely. For UC We Vote, my office is currently working on a resolution for a non-instructional election day. So let me know if you guys are interested in co-sponsoring that, and be on the lookout for that in the weeks to come. And that is it from me. I will pass it along to Angie. Thank you.
Amazing work, Sarah. Thank you. My Retention First Committee is finishing up sending out award emails to Books for Bruins recipients. Should be finalizing that by tomorrow. They're also working with SIOC and CRC and my appointments to support with giving workshops to student orgs about the Mother Coalition and their retention projects. And my Retention First Committee is also working on supplying Blue Books and Scantrons to ESRC. My Sanctuary Campus Committee is working on our quarterly mental health event and finalizing guest speakers for that. And we've also been meeting with Cafe 580 to discuss how we can support and uplift their work. I also attended a meeting with the Gen Rep 1 office and some folks from CAPS and Active Minds to discuss the Mental Health Coalition and what we will be doing moving forward with that. My Access and Equity directors are working on a workshop with transfers, and they're currently outreaching to the transfer community and attending TLC meetings, and also working with the TSR office. As for my Campus of Care Committee, they are reaching out to different departments currently about the syllabi initiative that we're starting to make syllabi more accessible prior to course enrollment, and also reaching out to different professors who have gauged interest in that. And then for my Disability Justice and Education Committee, we recently drafted a letter with FAC and DSU to address UGC's decision to not reverse the priority enrollment decision that they made in June 2020, despite demands from disabled students and from the CAE. That decision was made without student input from those community or from that community. That letter is shared on DSU's Instagram. Would really appreciate if y'all could share that. I've also been working with the Campus Retention Committee and student initiated outreach committees on a letter to support DSU in their ask for hybrid courses during winter quarter. That letter was sent to admin yesterday, and the post just went up on the SRC Instagram. Would also really appreciate if y'all could share that as well. And my office also released a student feedback form on our Instagram to better inform our advocacy for accessibility. Please also share that if you can. Encourage folks to fill it out as well. Other than that, we updated our website with information on the Academic Senate and the different committees and positions. We are also working with counseling, with the counseling department and with AAP to put on counseling quarterlies, which is our quarterly counseling event. And then lastly, UCLA will be transitioning fully from CCLE to a new platform called Brew and Learn, which will be using Canvas instead of Moodle. And that transition will begin winter quarter. So starting January 3rd, we will be using Brew and Learn instead of CCLE. If there are any questions about that, feel free to email me. And you can also join the LMS workspace in the UCLA Slack workspace if you want to ask any questions directly to the committee that is heading that change and transition. But yeah, that's basically it for me. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hold on one sec. Let me see. I think Simone may be coming. Oh, Jane, do you want to give your verbal report? I just saw that you had asked for verbal.
I don't have verbal this week. I think that was left over from last week.
Okay. If anything, we could move on, and then when Simone texts me back, then we can add her again. Great. Admin reps, Jessica.
So Breeze, Jessica is out of the office for the remainder of the quarter.
Oh yeah, I forgot she's on leave.
She is on leave. So yeah.
Hattie.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, took me a minute to get to unmute. No major updates. Just looking forward to some fun programming coming up just around the way. So we have, we're going to be hosting a UCLA basketball watching party for students that may not be able to attend the basketball game, but still want to watch and have some fun with their fellow students in the Ackerman Grand Ballroom Friday night. We're also collaborating with Unicamp next Wednesday for our arts and crafts program that we do every Wednesday, or Wellness Wednesday. So we will be collaborating to do some really fun painting activities in our Kirkhoff Grand Salon, and have some new partnerships, which we're excited to support Unicamp. And then we are also, we have a few other events coming up, another watch party on the 20th for the football game. So lots of fun ahead. I'll probably be sending out some flyers soon. So I just wanted to let you all know.
Josh.
No updates from me this week. Yeah. But enjoy your day off on Thursday. And just note that we only have a couple meetings left until the end of this quarter, which is crazy. So we're really coming to the end of fall quarter pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know. Exciting times. Orlando. Orlando. If not, George.
Hi, folks. No big updates, just that we had the Alumni Association board meeting this past Saturday. What can I say? We had an audit and no big issues came out of that audit, which is always a good thing in terms of our financial management as an association. But I think beyond any other big news, really, I think one of my plans in the near future is to invite, or hopefully invite, some representatives from the Alumni Association staff to talk to you all about opportunities and ways to prepare yourselves, because y'all are going to be future alumni anyway of this crazy institution known as UCLA. And so definitely want to connect you all with potentially some of our board members, and then additionally, what services you all should be looking ahead for, especially when it comes to your post-grad plans, right? So I'll be working closely with someone to get people to do presentations at USAC. I'm not sure if that's Cass or Breeze. Okay, it's Breeze. Work more closely with you, Breeze, on that end. And but looking forward for you all to make some meaningful connections with amazing alumni. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy, George. We made that happen, even though I was remote, you were in person, but we made that
Oh my God,
presentation.
bro, Breeze, yo, you provided some great update. By the way, Breeze made some really good updates on the amazing work y'all are doing, especially around, students with disabilities. I think that's was one of the, let's just say that the university sometimes still surprises me when it comes to some policies that they enact or don't enact. But yeah. I'll definitely connect more with Breeze then to see what presentations we can have for you all in the near future.
Yeah, exciting. Thank you so much, George. Orlando? I don't know if you can hear us. Oh,
hello, everyone. Hi. No updates tonight.
Fernando? Patty?
No other updates.
Okay, awesome. I think Emily presented last week. Everyone presented. So can we go ahead and promote Sam? She's going to be presenting for my office today. And then let's also promote Simone so she can go right after. And Sam, are you with us? Yes, she is. The center.
Are we ready? Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Am I able to share my screen? Okay. So let me know if you can see. And apologies in advance if my internet cuts out. So today I'll just be presenting really briefly on the importance of stipending our directors in the Office of the President. So I'll dive right in. To start with, here's our breakdown of our proposed stipend amount and the amount of directors in our office in comparison to the other USAC offices this year. So just wanted to highlight, we have 42 directors in our office currently, and the amount that we're requesting per director is pretty much on par. It's actually the second lowest of the amounts other USAC offices are requesting. However, the Office of the President is and has always been on the larger side for USAC offices because there is so much that comes out of our office and requires directors to lead. And so I think that is why some of the concern as to the share of stipend funding that would be going towards the Office of the President. So it does come out to about 30% of the stipend funding for USAC as a whole, but it's pretty much on par with what the Office of the President has always been. So we have 42 directors this year. As you saw, last year we actually had 43 by the end of the year. That number was definitely higher in the middle of the year as well. And the other thing is that last year in the Office of the President, not only were directors stipended, but some office members were stipended as well. Office members that just happened to take on as much work as a director normally would, even though they were still in a staff position. So there were actually there was a significantly higher number of people in the Office of the President last year that was being stipended for a greater amount than we're requesting this year. So based on the standards that have been set for the Office of the President, the request this year is not outlandish whatsoever. And in fact, it's pretty conservative. And on top of that, the importance of stipending OP directors cannot be overstated. So not only are our student leaders doing incredible work, as we've seen throughout the quarter so far, but about 60% of the Office of the President directors qualify as low income. About 85% are students of color, 85% are women, and about 5% are gender non-binary, identify as gender non-binary. And for those students to be doing so many hours of unpaid labor per week creates a lot of issues for financial stress. And we'll get to some testimonials directly from our officers in just a second. But on top of that, 70% of our directors currently have at least one job, and over a third or almost a third actually work 2 or more jobs on top of the work that they're doing for the Office of the President to compensate for the fact that they have not been compensated thus far. And they know how important the work is to the welfare of students. So they're willing to make those sacrifices to be able to continue to do this work. So I think it's really important that USAC Council as a whole recognize those sacrifices and recognize the importance of the work that's being done and compensate that labor for its appropriate worth. So to get into just a couple of testimonials from our directors, we have, I won't name any names, I'll maintain anonymity from those who did share these testimonials, but we see that we have a director who finds themselves short on money for school, and being compensated for the time they spend working for USAC would relieve a lot of that stress. A stipend would help another director help pay bills in their family. Another director mentioned that they are a first generation low income student and also a student worker, which as we saw is pretty standard across the board for our directors. And in order to do all the work required of their position to the best of their ability, they have to work less hours at a paying job. And so some weeks they have a total of 3 meetings dedicated to their committee in the Office of the President, which takes time away from the availability that they have for work. And the stipend that they would hopefully get would make up for that time that they can't spend working to pay for basic necessities, housing, school supplies, and other things. Furthermore, a stipend would allow directors to pay for rent, food, transportation, other basic needs. And our directors do feel that USAC is really rewarding, and it shows in that they're willing to make these sacrifices without the guarantee of getting paid just yet. But it does take up time, as we've seen, that they could spend at their jobs making money. And a stipend would alleviate all of the financial concerns that do arise because of that situation and allow them to do their work to an even fuller extent because of the alleviation of that concern. And another director stated that although their low income status qualifies them for financial aid, there are a lot of hidden costs, as I'm sure we're all familiar, for course materials, food and housing, just the cost of living in Westwood or in LA. A stipend is beyond necessary to allow students to feel confident that they're doing important work, that they are seen, that they're valued, and that the sacrifice that they're making is going towards something that's important. So that's all that I really wanted to share, because I just want to make sure that we're aware that what USAC, what the Office of the President is asking for this year is not any larger than what has been asked in the past. It's actually a smaller amount than what's been asked in the past, and the importance cannot be understated. The population of low-income students in the Office of the President has only grown over the past several years. And the fact that so many of our officers still do work other jobs shows us that they're willing to make such sacrifice for our office. And we really just want to acknowledge that by being able to compensate them for their labor. So if anyone has questions, I'm happy to answer, but if not, I thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Sam. I appreciate you so much. Does anyone have any questions? If not, thank you so much. And you're free to go, Sam. I know you've been here all night. So she's my EPA, y'all. She does so much for me. I love her so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. Great. Okay. So Simone is in the room now. So Emily, you have the floor to present.
Hi, everybody. So we have Simone here. Essentially, the CRC appointment who we had appointed over the summer, unfortunately had to resign for personal reasons. So Simone here is our prospective appointment to the position as replacement. And I think I'll let Simone introduce herself. You're all very familiar with her by now too.
Hey y'all, my name is Simone, pronoun she, hers. Happy to be here tonight. Also very familiar with the coalition space and these committees, for I am the ASU chairperson this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Simone. Does anyone have any questions for Simone? I feel like Simone's here almost as much as us and in other spaces as well. So I don't know if any folks have one question. Jane?
Hey Simone, nice to see you. So my question is like, how can council members better support the students in CRC and like by extension SIOC and the coalition space, and like what can we do to offer our support and help make sure we're backing all of you?
I would say please be present over these next couple of weeks. I think they're going to be very critical for the state of the coalition and our projects and these committees. You know, next week I would love, I know Tuesday's a little difficult because you guys meet around the same time as SIOC, but if council members, especially commissioners that have appointments to the CRC, I would love to see you guys there Thursday night in SAC 105D at 6 o'clock. I appreciate you guys coming to the MO meetings. That presence, I think the coalition and my other peers would agree that, you know, we appreciate the support that council has been giving us. And I think that solidarity, just moving forward, we're looking forward to continue this relationship and this allyship with USAC.
Thank you so much, Simone. Are there any other questions? Okay, Simone, you're free to give your closing statement.
As I've been pressing upon my peers this year, I would just like to remind everybody in the room, in these next coming weeks, I think we're all going to have to make some very important decisions of our own. And I just want to remind you guys what's at stake and what we're protecting, and that's student empowerment. These committees are symbolic to student governance, from the hiring autonomy to the autonomy to conduct student-run services, from the autonomy over funds, or at least that's how it's supposed to be, right? So these committees, just as USAC, are symbolic. And I just want us to remember that and keep that in mind as things get a little thick in these coming weeks. But I'm confident that we're all strong enough because we're all looking strong this year. We have a very empowered coalition. We have strong committees, and we have a hell of a strong council. So look forward to continuing.
You're amazing, Simone. I love you. Okay, great. Do any council members have any comments, questions? Oh, first ARC, sorry.
From ARC gives 3 to 0 to 0 positive recommendation. We're excited to give Simone a positive recommendation for CRC appointment. As y'all know, she is an amazing student leader who has put in so much hard work in ASU and also in the mother organizations. I definitely think that she understands the assignment of this position, whether that's like with retention, advocacy, and ensuring these spaces are student initiated and student led. And something that I really like that she said in the ARC interview is bringing back student autonomy and making them feel confident in these spaces that are supposed to be for their community. So we think that Simone will do an amazing job this year as CRC.
I definitely agree with that. Any other comments from council members? If not, I'm just gonna wish you luck, Simone, because I know you be busy, super busy. You should be working as the same amount of jobs as me and like still manages to do everything and more without getting paid. I don't know how she does it, but kudos to you and thank you so much for taking on this role. Really to help us all out. Great. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to appoint Simone to the Campus Retention Committee.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Jane motions, Angie seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Natalia? And Tay, sorry. I don't know if Natalia's with us. By a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and Simone is appointed to CRC. Thank you so much, Emily, and thank you so much to you too, Simone. And you're free to go if you would like. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, great. And Tay, I believe you're next up on the agenda. Oh, okay, wait, I'm confused. Josh, do you recommend that Tay finish presenting or should we move to the AFT resolution? Like, are we going to do the vote tonight? I don't know if Cass prepared that so that we could vote tonight, or is that something that we needed to have prepared? I don't know how that happened.
So no, I think we are ready to vote tonight. If we're following the order of the agenda, technically we should have the resolution first, finish the proposals, and then go directly into a vote. But we would need to review all of the final numbers before we go into that vote. And I have the numbers from last week that I'd be happy to drop. Well, no, I think it's good if we just review all of the numbers before we move into the vote. So my suggestion would be let's go to the resolution and then moved on to the proposals. And then after the SWC and the two SWCs are presented with numbers, let's review the final numbers. We have $100,000 total, and then we can vote on the surplus, and then we can move forward if that works. Oh, Tay is saying, Tay, are you no more proposals for SWC?
I just have one instead of two.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's follow the order of the agenda, if that's okay. And then I'm sure Patty will also want to talk right before we go into the vote, just to finalize budget before we go into the finalized vote. Does that make sense? And Cass, are you okay with the vote the way that we've done it in the past?
Yeah, so that's having everyone present and then just voting.
It would be yes, and then we typically do an anonymous form. Let me message you while we do the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Breeze, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Awesome. Okay, hold on one sec. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Apologies in advance for the 1.5 million tabs I have open. But here is the resolution for tonight. It's a resolution in solidarity with UC AFT. I mean, y'all could go ahead and read it if y'all would like. I could also read it, but I don't know if y'all want me to read it. You guys can just go ahead and read it. I'll leave it there on the screen. And then when folks are done, just a thumbs up and I can stop sharing screen. Okay, cool. I think that people are good. So I don't know if y'all have any questions. I mean, I think everyone in the room has already been participating and, has done their part to understand the needs. And John, thank you so much for sticking with us the entire time. We really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions? If not, can I get a motion, please?
I move to pass a resolution to support UCAFT.
Can I get a second? Jane motions, and I'm gonna say Angie seconded because I saw 3 people unmute at the same time. Can I get all in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, the motion passes, and the resolution to support UCAFT is approved. Thank you so much, John. And please let us know how we can continue to support in any future actions or any support y'all need in the future.
Yes, we'll do. Thank you all again so much. And yeah, we'll be in touch probably like even next week. There's some news coming, I think. So yeah, again, thank you. It means so much to all of us. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye. Okay. And Tay, you only have one presentation tonight, right? Perfect.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so basically today I'll be talking about the Ministerial Access Initiative as initiated by the Student Wellness Commission. So it's really interesting because we've been working on this since 2017 under Christina Lee. So Christina Lee was the first person to write a grant to provide menstrual products in the Ash Center and establish a menstrual product box dispenser located on the 3rd floor of Kirchhoff Hall, which is I think y'all might have seen it by the elevator. It's super cute. Yeah, with this initiative, UCLA became the first public university on the West Coast to provide free menstrual products to its students, and that was done through Student Wellness Commission, period. Cool thing is that since then, subsequent commissioners have created proposals and attempted to institutionalize menstrual hygiene progress. However, we have continually faced financial roadblocks. Yeah, hold on, sorry. Currently, right now, SWC Brew Necessities and the overall commission as a whole, right now we're just really working on finding new avenues, especially in the context of the new assembly bill that just passed, to quickly, with urgency, supply and distribute free menstrual products, pads, tampons, in different accessible locations on the Hill and then on campus. And we also do other initiatives such as ending the stigma surrounding menstruation and, really building accessibility bridges to menstrual hygiene through menstrual hygiene fairs, art fairs, and so on. So currently, our goal is to provide free and accessible menstrual products in all the bathrooms on campus and in residential dorms on the Hill. Huge feats. Since last year, we've been working on this fall/winter pilot program where we hope to expand our initiative to the following buildings, which I'll share on the next slide. And these buildings for the pilot program are tailored to pick the ones that have the highest foot traffic and our central student hubs on campus. And I'm so sorry for messing up and fumbling my words. I've been in meetings all day. But yeah, we propose to provide menstrual products in all restrooms, male, female, and all gender. And our goal is to provide products on both sides of campus, north and south, to provide maximum accessibility as possible for all the students at UCLA. So now this is really exciting. I'm sure y'all have heard of the AB 367 or AB 367. Basically, this bill requires the CSUs in each community college district and would encourage the regents of the University of California to stock an adequate supply of menstrual products available and accessible free of cost at no fewer than one designated and accessible central location on each campus, and to also like post a notice that's provided there. So I'm sure Sarah knows a lot about this too, but it's interesting, like this language right here, this thing that's in like that's bolded, basically just means like minimum one bathroom. The Student Wellness Commission is really passionate about making sure that all bathrooms on the Hill and on campus have menstrual access stations in them. So that's our current priority and something that we're really trying to do under the fall pilot. And we will do under the fall pilot, which brings me to our plan. So basically, brewing necessities and the Student Wellness Commission have been meeting with administration to institutionalize menstrual access. We were going to launch it last year, but then COVID happened and administration was really pressed on like focusing on COVID-19, which is understandable. But yeah, with our pilot program, we are really set on installing stations now, like winter quarter in high traffic buildings, to demonstrate to administration that we need more than one menstrual accessible bathroom. And then also to like reiterate that this is a basic need, not a luxury. And this is an initiative that can't wait until 2022. Yeah, so right now, brewing necessities in the Student Wellness Commission, we're currently consolidating and creating a very extensive menstrual access proposal to propose to Vice Chancellor Beck. And in this proposal, it's like super crucial that we show the exact pricing that we'll need for all these products and dispensers, and how we'll pay for it. And obviously, since a lot of our offices on council had budget cuts that we voted on, which I'm like completely fine with, we don't have a lot of money. So we want to make sure that we have a solid plan to propose to administration, since there has been a back and forth struggle and inconsistency since 2017. But they did make a promise, and then with the bill, this is also going to help, which is, we're so grateful for that bill being passed. But after the pilot, administration will be fully responsible in paying for the upkeep and installation of the rest of the menstrual stations. So the Student Wellness Commission themselves are only targeting these bathrooms. And these bathrooms will be in SAC, Powell Library, John Wooden Center in West Wooden, Young Hall, Franz Hall, the Physics Astronomy Building, the Broad Art Center, Campbell Hall, and Haynes Hall. So these are our target bathrooms. And then these are what the stations are going to look like. So we met with a couple stakeholders, especially folks within the LGBTQ Center. I'm sure y'all are familiar with Andy. So he advised us to do like clear acrylic bins and bathrooms that won't have as many administrators. So we're gonna do clear acrylic bins in male bathrooms and all gender bathrooms. And these units cost about $15, $16 each. And then we have these really high capacity menstrual stations that will be located in place in a lot of the female bathrooms on campus, and that is $323.40 each. So pretty pricey. But this is just to make sure, since these will be utilized more, we have like a solid system to make sure that they're all flowing. Okay. Oopsies. Okay, so total costs to launch our pilot, we will be spending roughly $16,000. And most of this will come from the Student Wellness Commission budget. We're planning on like making it work using basic need subsidy funding and other committee funding to like allocate towards this project. But we are requesting at least $8,000 from the first round of surplus. With this $8,000, we will be able to dramatically expand menstrual access on campus quickly. And like currently the lead time to get the stations is only a month, and then we can start installing them. So it's looking really good for lead time with the actual stations themselves from the vendor. The menstrual access pilot project will also help us figure out how students utilize the stations to help us better prepare for a full launch with all the bathrooms, which will inevitably help administration when they are legally obligated to install stations after the pilot. But yeah, by funding this project, you will be helping us improve the menstrual health of all students on campus in the following ways. One, by providing them access to pads or tampons to all UCLA students. And then two, increasing the accessibility to menstrual hygiene products in a safe, clean environment. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank y'all so much. Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Tay. That was an amazing presentation. Great. Okay. Josh, I'm going to ask you now what's next. I remember last year it was the IBP would make a form. I don't know if you had a chance to communicate with Cass.
Yeah. So Cass and I were talking, and she is in the process of building the form total. I think what we will need to do, well, actually, Cass knows what to do. Cass, jump in. I think we need to verify numbers before we move forward to see if any office changed numbers. So Cass, let me pass it over to you and let's go through this together. Please bear with us. And if everyone in USAC can please have their updated proposals, please pull them up now with accurate numbers so that we can move fairly quickly through this process. So Cass, I'm going to pass it to you.
Okay, so I started the Google form with all the surplus proposals, but I still need to verify like numbers for director stipends because we had that discussion last week, and then we have the spreadsheet that was sent in Slack, but I need to like add the total and confirm if your office wants to do that approach, if that makes sense.
So Cass, maybe what we could do is just go right now down in order of each proposal just to verify that everything is still accurate so that when we go to vote, we are absolutely 100% accurate with these numbers.
Okay, and then I'm gonna just start with the proposals from the old business items. So FSC Lab Co expansion is 5,000.
Yeah.
And then FSC, FAC, sorry, I accidentally wrote FSC. FAC Transportation Equity and Access is $3,000.
Yes, I believe that should be for Universal Transit Grants.
Mm-hmm. And then OSAC X FICOM storage proposal is 20,000. Oh, Patricia has her face.
Oh, sorry. No, call on me once you're done.
Okay. And then for Tay, it was $8,000.
Yeah.
Cass, can we get verification?
Yeah.
20,000, is that accurate?
Oh, is OSAC X FICOM 20,000? I still have a link to the presentation. It's also on the agenda, and it says 20,000 on the presentation.
Wait, I see Patty's hand up. Patty?
Sure. Well, I just had two comments, but it looks like there's other questions coming up. But in regards to the director's stipends, I don't think that we've gone into that in detail yet. I just want to let you know, as mentioned last time, if there isn't, if you're not hitting the weekly minimum for a stipend, and it seems like a lot of these are below that range, we won't be able to give a stipend with an honorarium or creating them as employees, but we can do funding to either a Bruin card funding or to UCLA store. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. And I know we've talked to Vong about that to get additional detail on the SGs.
Vong told me today that he can do Bruin direct deposit.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So that's different from honorarium. So I just want to make sure everyone's aware of like what the process will be. And then.
Sorry, Jessica. I'm Patty. I mean.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah, so when you do a Bruin direct deposit, it would kind of work like the way financial aid works when you get a deposit, right? And then you can spend it on whatever you want, kind of thing.
That's correct.
Awesome. Okay.
And then I also just want to clarify that we are able to allocate out of our anticipated surplus up to 100,000.
You said $1,000 more.
The what?
What did you say about 1,000? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to clarify for tonight that you can allocate up to $100,000 out of the anticipated.
Awesome. Okay, that works. Did anyone else have questions? If not, Cass, sorry, you can go back.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, the OSAC one is 20,000. So I'll be moving on to verifying the numbers from each officer for their like director pay. So Breeze, do you know how much you're requesting?
Sorry, I'm pulling up the Slack. Casa, do you happen to have, I'm so sorry, the sheet open? I'm like, I have so many tabs.
Yes, I
open
do
here.
have the sheet.
Okay.
I mean, I could share screen right now and we can all look at the sheet. Is that useful?
Yeah, can you do that, please? That would be helpful because I was trying to add them together earlier.
Okay, sure. Let me do that. Okay, does everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. So like this first sheet is directors only. And this is the total. So that's like sums like these rows, right? If you see my mouse cursor. And basically, right, like this model is a sigmoidal model. And what that means is that this is a formula that takes into account like trade-offs and whatnot. And that's how it calculates what the per person pay should be. As I noted in the Slack, we can still change the parameters and that would tweak like how much the per person pay would change as the number of directors increases or decreases. So that's something to note, like those things can definitely be tweaked, though we'd have to do them right now. And this next slide is like very similar. It's just the pay for the executives. Like you can see the exec count and then the per person pay. So this is on the scale of 300 to 400, and the other slide is looking at 200 to 300. And when you total all of that up, so like the sums of everything here and everything in the director slide, it's like a $50,127.52 to pay everyone.
Okay. Sorry, Josh, can we know, or Cass, I don't know who's keeping track of the numbers right now, but can we know everyone else who asked for funds, how much that total is?
So currently you're at 78,127.52, but that does not include what Tay proposed today.
And Tay, you had asked for $8,000, correct?
Yes. Sorry, guys.
No, don't apologize. That's a really great cause.
That's 86,127.52.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know how folks are feeling right now. Do folks want to, I mean, we can do office by office. First, I guess we should decide on the 200, 300, or folks want to keep it between that, or like where are folks at right now?
Currently, I'm just in the process of adding everyone's director total and exec total together so I can put it on the Google form.
Okay, yeah, but like, I guess my question is, sorry, I'm drinking some tea, y'all. I just wanted to know, like, if folks are feeling that that amount is okay, like the 200 to 300, or if folks want to make it move it to 250 to 350. I don't know, like where folks are at. James, okay, Haley.
I was just gonna ask if that total that we just got, I think it was like 86,000, did that account for books for Bruins?
When did you present that?
That was last week, actually. Thank you so much for not last week. That was a few weeks ago, Josh. But we had already allocated $18,000 toward the Books for Bruins.
Oh, we definitely, that does not include the 18,000. So plus 18,000, that would bring us to 100. Here, I'll put it in the chat, but it's 104,127.52 with Books for Bruins. Thank you for bringing that up. So I'll drop it into the chat right now.
Capital contingency. How much is being asked for? How much should we allocate to capital contingency?
I think it was around $3,000 to capital contingency, but I'm sure it's like up here somewhere. It's 3,146 to capital contingency.
Patty?
Yeah, two things. One, after additional discussion with Long, we do feel that you can still give 100,000 tonight, even accounting for books. We were accounting for Books for Bruins in that amount when I said 100, so because that was previously approved. And then if I can just kind of answer the question about capital contingency really quickly. In your bylaws on page 74, it goes into a little bit more detail how usually it will work. So there is, in regards to surplus, council will allocate a maximum of 150,000 to student group surplus to augment the programming fund, capital items fund, and contingency fund, according to the following formulas. USA programming shall allocate at least 45% to student group surplus available after the closing audit and publications of previous fiscal year. Capital items should be allocated at least 12% of student group surplus funds available after the closing of the audit. And then remaining funds go to the contingency fund. So to just put that into kind of numbers for you, if you have the full maximum of 152 allocate, I believe 12% of that is roughly, I think that's $18,000. Sorry, I didn't do the math. But just to clarify, so usually based on your bylaws, some surplus will also already go to capital contingency. So this is an additional amount that you're asking for a specific project. Hopefully that clarifies.
Okay, thank you so much, Cass, for that number. Cool. So I guess to Cass, sorry.
Oh yeah, I just updated the total amount requested from the offices because I checked in with my directors and execs of people who might be getting paid already from different offices. So I just removed them.
Okay, cool. Good. Does anyone have any questions? Are folks feeling comfortable with that parameter? And also, thank you so much, Pasa, for doing all that. You said the formula. I was like, bestie, I'm sorry, but I can't. But you did such a great job. We really, all of us, appreciate you so much for doing that for us. But in the meantime, does anyone have any questions about anything?
Wait, yeah. Cass, if you updated your numbers for your office, that would also change like the calculation here, right? Because it's dynamic according to like how many directors you had. So for like if you change this number would have changed too, or should change.
Okay. For executives, I would only be paying one instead of all three.
Okay. So one, that updates that. So then, yeah, you're right. Well, it's very close, right? Like it changed a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, that is perfect. Yay, okay. So do we want to do a vote then? So Josh, just so we're fully aware, we would be under that total surplus amount that we were given, right, at this moment.
So by taking Books for Bruins out, yes, you'd be under the 100,000, which means you can fully vote to fund everything. I think Cass is putting together a form that I believe she just dropped. I think that it would be still democratic to go through and have everyone vote to make sure that they are, oh wait, don't click on that. I think it still would be democratic to go through and vote to make sure that everyone agrees with the amounts supplied.
And with that, I don't get a vote in any of these, correct?
You do not unless it ties.
Okay, perfect.
May I ask what the current difference is, like, between like how much we'll have left over? Do we know that? Like, if we decided to fully fund every project?
I think it's like around 14,000, correct? Patty?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't do that math exactly. I'll let someone who is looking at that do that. But I do want to let you know we will be bringing forward towards the end of this quarter our final surplus numbers, which will have the remaining. So this is what we call, just to clarify again, anticipated surplus. So essentially, we anticipate that the surplus will at least be this amount that we feel comfortable that you can allocate up to for your projects. And then as we are now in November, we're just a few weeks away from just finalizing the exact numbers for our final surplus numbers that we can bring back for the remainder of your large projects for the school year. But we just want to make sure that we're not missing this opportunity to activate some of your more time sensitive projects at this time. So yes, you will have just under 14,000 remaining out of this 100. But in the next few weeks, we'll be bringing up before the end of this quarter, we'll be bringing towards what our surplus numbers are for additional projects that usually get brought forward at the beginning of winter quarter.
Okay, awesome. Great. So what would we do? So Josh, right now people would just go ahead and insert the numbers and then we vote.
Yeah, we can vote. The question did come through that can we fully fund everything? And the answer is yes to that as well. So it's totally up to you all at this point on how you want to move forward. We can move forward with Cass's form, or if everyone just wants to fully fund everything, we could do a singular vote based upon the numbers. I still think everyone should visually look at the form so they know exactly what they're voting for if we go through the fund everything, or everyone puts in the numbers that they think each office should get. And that could be the amount as is, or they could type in their own number. If people type in their own number, then what Cass will do is do an average based upon every vote submitted, and that would be the amount that we would allocate to that particular office. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do folks want to do? Would folks want to do a vote for all, or do folks want to insert numbers? This is like a discussion. So
oh, sorry, promise. So if we do it with the form, can we potentially allocate more than what that office is initially asking for? I am selfishly asking on behalf of my office, since I will have to take money from basic needs subsidy in order to pay for the rest of the 16,000. So I was gonna, yeah, I don't know.
I was just gonna answer. I was just gonna answer based on what we did in the past. We didn't allocate more, like we couldn't do more than what was said. So it's like whatever number it is, you can only do like that number or under that number.
But that's not to say, Tay, that you can't apply again and get money in the next round.
I have to agree with what Promise just stated. I think you should be able to request more. If you wanted more, that should have been requested at the time. But exactly what Breeze and Promise have said, you can always request more if Patty comes back and says that there's more allocations or more funds to be allocated. So if we go with the vote individually, the maximum vote would be the full amount. Or you can say less than that amount and put a number in, but it could not be more than what has already been proposed.
Prom, then Patty.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, I guess like just to state my opinion on whether or not we should just like vote or like do the form. I think we should fill out the form. Because also like if like everyone doesn't want to fully fund everything, then you can do that, and like whatever is averaged out, like the leftover funds then goes into the next pool of surplus that we end up voting on. So it also gives folks the opportunity to like still have funding. So I think it's pretty like I find it pretty helpful also, especially like if you want to partially fund something and still preserve funds for something that you might think that like could come up later. So yeah.
And then I just wanted to thank you, Promise. I just wanted to also mention, Janet asked again, we'll have more opportunities for surplus. And just to mention that anticipated surplus is required to be conservative, that because we have to ensure that we don't go over, but we know that we would have enough remaining surplus that there would be room for additional projects into the future. So I just want to make sure that is clear, that our anticipated surplus numbers are always conservative numbers.
Cass.
If we do go forward or move forward with the Google form, I created it so that it has like you can vote for a full amount, or you can click on other and input like whatever amount you would feel comfortable funding.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And Josh, would that mean that then I could fill out the Google form as well? Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit unfair if I don't get a chance to fill out the form. Because then I would bring down my average if like, you get me? So I don't know if that's something. If it's not going to be a vote.
Yeah.
Patty, jump in here.
Well, I feel like, isn't the form part of your vote? You're saying yes or no, or are you coming back and is this just you determining your numbers and then you're coming back and you're going to vote for each project individually? Or are you trying to vote from the form, or is this just trying to figure out what numbers you're using? It's not very clear to us listening to the conversation.
So I thought that the conversation, and at least from what, well, wait, Palmy has her hand up. I thought, okay, I'm really confused right now.
Oh, I was just gonna quickly interject and say I'm pretty sure Naomi voted last year. Like, or like she put in numbers on this part, because we don't vote until like we actually come back with the numbers.
Okay.
Like that.
Promise,
So
yeah. Yep, that's fair. Yes. And when we go to
Fernando, it was the average. She inserted numbers in the average, and then after Cass takes those averages, then we vote on those.
Then you vote, and you
anonymous.
Yeah, you can't vote for your own office in there, but okay, I'm okay with that then.
Thank you.
Wait, so is it cool if we filled out the form?
Oh, I think there's still questions.
Yeah, I was gonna quickly say / ask. I know last year something was an issue was the decimal point, like the decimals in a lot of the numbers that people were asking for, and we ended up just rounding up anyway. I wanted to ask, like, is that something that we would be doing this year too? And like, if so, like, how would we be rounding? Because I know it's kind of like,
Yeah, promise. You brought up a really good point, and Cass and I were talking about it. Once the averages are all calculated, we're going to round up to the nearest five or zero.
okay,
So either a five or a zero for accounting purposes. So if it comes to $123.25, we're going to just round up to 125.
okay,
And we have the flexibility in this that even if we go over, $3 or $4 each person, we're not going to still go over the 100,000.
okay.
But you're totally right. We're not going to go down to the cent. We're going to go up to the closest zero or five, if that makes any sense.
Okay, yeah, that helps. So we don't have to round in our in us.
You don't have to round in your proposal. Just we want to vote either full amount or add an amount. And then when we go to finalize that vote, we're just going to round up to the nearest $0 or $5 mark.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Good point. Thank you. I'm just going to call Emily and then Pasa.
Well, hi, I think Josh, I think you mentioned it like a few minutes ago, but is it that like each officer can't vote on their own proposal?
So you can when we fill out the form, you can fill out the form for all offices, but then when we finalize the final vote, you would have to abstain for your own office because obviously there's an intended bias there.
Right. Okay. And then also to clarify, like the form, is this form supposed to be like the actual vote, or is it to determine the final number for each proposal to vote on?
It would be the final number to then finally vote on.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so in the pay model, right, like I did program it so that it rounds to the nearest cent at the moment. So I don't know if knowing the new protocol regarding like rounding at the end, like if anyone wants that changed or if that should be changed. What are people's thoughts, I guess, before we kind of do the form, which has that starting number?
Yeah, so I think what you did was stellar.
Okay.
From an account, but then if things are not fully funded, it's still going to change the equation.
Okay.
But once we get a finalized number, it's just really hard for Patty and Fernando's team to get it down to the cent. It's easier to get it to either a 0 or a 5 from an accounting point of view. So I truly, and I think everyone in the chat is saying thank you so much for all of your hard work for creating that equation. But once we do this form, it's still going to change. It potentially could change the numbers. It might not. If everyone votes fully fund, then we're good and we'll still round up. We won't round down because that will negatively impact your proposals.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, if everyone's cool with this starting point, then like, yeah, that's great.
But thank you. You are a rock star for creating that form. And we should steal it for future years.
Okay, I'm gonna just send the form in the chat so now everyone can actually fill it out. I think someone sent it earlier. Please don't send it again. So far, I have 6 responses.
Wait, I actually don't see FSC on this form.
Really? It's at the
top.
It is?
Yeah.
It's the first one.
Oh, wait.
Oh yeah, that's lab code expansion. I meant the
The office
stipends.
day?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have to add that then. That means we have to restart. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, do you know the total by chance? If not, I can like quickly add.
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm just adding it. Okay, got it. Okay,
So for clarity, Cass, you
so I just added it to the form. I'm going to delete all responses so we can take it again.
so everyone please revote.
I have 7 responses. Okay, I'm at 10, but I think there's 13 of us. I'm missing one more response. Breeze, I'm not sure what we want to do because I think one person hasn't filled out the form yet.
Maybe let's wait until 9:12.
If anyone's having trouble accessing the form, please private message Cass, or if you are not done voting, please private message Cass This is done completely anonymous. So the challenge is if the last person does not vote, we will have to move forward without that vote. So we want to make sure that everyone's vote is counted.
Okay, well, it's 9:12, please. I must share a spreadsheet of the responses. Is that okay?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay, in the chat, I sent the spreadsheet of the responses. So, Josh, how we're supposed to do this if it didn't get a full amount is we average everything?
Yes. We would average and then potentially discuss I'm trying to see, is there a Pasa? What's a really easy way to do the average?
Cass, if you give me control over the spreadsheet, I can do it right now.
Send an edit link. Let me know if that works.
I'm sure other people know how to use the spreadsheet like functions too.
I know, Pasa. You were so incredible earlier. So, okay. So Cass did send a shareable link, Pasa, or I guess anybody, or editable link. Excuse me. So this is just going to take just a few minutes to do. So just give us a few seconds.
Pasta, do you need help with me like changing the full amounts to the actual numbers?
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. But like, you don't have to do it by hand. You can just do 5,000 and then scroll down, like pull it down.
Oh. Okay.
I can help too if that's helpful.
Yeah, it'll take like 5 minutes tops.
Well, that was quite fast.
And then perhaps if we can just round them all up, then we'll have our numbers for the votes.
So I think someone asked me if we can vote for full amounts. I don't know if that's something we can do, Josh. I know we averaged it already, but if folks are asking for that, I don't know what we would do then. If folks, I think it's also good if folks would come out and say why they didn't allocate full amounts, if anything. But I don't know. That's what someone messaged me about.
So I think to respect the process currently right now is we're going to have these rounded up amounts, and then we can go to discussion for each one before we vote down the list. And then if people change their mind, I mean, we have to respect the process that we agreed to go through.
I agree. I think next time though, we will probably do that because I know a couple people messaged me about that.
Got it.
Okay, awesome. Hold on. My best friend's calling me. Cass, can you take over? Sorry.
Yes. So right now what we're doing is a discussion.
Yes, I think we could open it up to discussion for those that did not get their full amount. And I think maybe what we could do is go in order down the spreadsheet. So maybe start with column B and then work our way down.
Okay. First column is FSC. Did you have any thoughts, Emily, about like the total?
I think I can work with the total. I'm curious to hear about the column row number 13 though.
I do want to remind people, I think like whoever voted in that amount, this money goes back to the university. And I feel like if we can better use it to support students, I want to know why like this individual voted down to give to like menstrual equity, which is kind of needed for our campus and like women on our campus who may be low income.
Yeah, I guess if we're still having a discussion, I'd also like to hear from whoever didn't vote for full amount. Like we said, like SWC's menstrual access proposal is very much needed, and also they voted less allocated towards Breeze and I's office when I believe like both of us presented how our office is very diverse, with directors and executives coming from low income backgrounds, first gen students. And so I definitely think that like our office would benefit from this model that PASA created that seems very like, equitable and everything. So I'm very interested to hear why.
And also I know like obviously like the person that did allocate less probably doesn't want to be put on the spot. But so I don't know if we can make another Google form so they can express why, because I'm not really sure why Emily's initiative was only given 1,000. I think that's ridiculous. especially since she like explicitly stated in her presentation that she's only asking for surplus funds like once for the lab coat expansion. So are we able to do another Google form? I don't know if that's something people want to do.
Passa? Oh, yeah, sorry, Tay. Maybe that's something we can discuss, but Passa, you have the floor.
I mean, my opinion is that like, since we're all voting on this and we're kind of like, you know, we all kind of value accountability and like transparency. I feel like whoever this person is should kind of at least inform, you know, the public and the stakeholders as to why they think the numbers that they have suggested are reasonable or not reasonable, right? I will also say that since the sigmoid model, right? Because I noticed that, yeah, this person like made suggestive cuts to certain offices, IVP and OP, which again were based on like the sigmoid, what that model outputted. And I'll just explain that like, as I mentioned in the Slack, like the way the model works is like, after about like, if you have more than 35 directors, it'll decay like much quicker. Like the per person pay decays much quicker. And if you look at IVP and OP, like the model already puts them at the lower end of things, right? Like it takes into account the fact that they have a lot of folks. So, you know, keep that in mind. Like they're already on like the lower end of the range. Just something to review.
Prom?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo the part of like what Pasta was just saying about how it is important accountability wise, especially since a lot like this person and the issues that a lot of people are having is like what is being cut and what wasn't even considered, like are like things that benefit the student body who we're supposed to serve. So definitely want to echo the fact that if you are the person who did put these numbers, it would be great just so we could have a discussion so we can like kind of understand where you're coming from, and not necessarily to change your mind, because like that's not what anyone's trying to do. I think it is important, and it is like everyone's right to know like why, since you are representing students. And I guess like just wanted to like lead by example, and I am more than willing to say what I voted, or like which line that I was. I was line number or row 8, and I did vote. I voted for 15,000 for OSAC, and that mainly came from the importance of this funding to have storage. But I also do believe that we will like need the funds to fund other things also potentially in the future. So I felt that not fully funding to the 20K was why I did that. So yeah, if anyone else would like to come forward, yeah, I asked to do that.
Thank you so much, Prom, and always appreciate your honesty. Passa?
Yeah, I'll follow Prom's move. So basically I was what line was I? Okay, yeah. I was line 11, I think. And similarly, I voted to give OSAC X FICOM a little bit less of their ask, because I also thought, you know, obviously storage is really important to student groups, but given how these funds are especially limited this year, I thought it was reasonable to, you know, cut like about $1,000. And also I think that there are probably alternative funds that they can apply to that would likely, you know, that these applications could fall under, right? Like it has to do with space and storage as well as like sustainability. So I can think of a couple. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, I don't know at this point in time if folks want to say anything. If not, Patty.
Yeah. The one thing that I would also mention is there's also more opportunity to come forward with surplus, and it can be the same project. So, for example, last fall, there was a project. I want to say it was called like student leadership. It was through the EBP office. I can't remember the exact amount or exact title of it, but they received similarly, an average was reduced slightly. And it affected what their total request was. I think they were looking for 25,000 or 50, I can't remember. And they received partial funding during the first round of surplus. And then they came back a little bit later for the second round of surplus and asked for the remainder and received funding at that time. So as even Taylania mentioned earlier, she may want additional funding for your menstrual program, menstrual product program. So that could be another example of coming back and maybe asking for a vision of asking for more funding to get to that full 16,000, for example. So that's another opportunity here if you all want to move forward with the averaged amount. So I just wanted to mention that.
Okay. So, I don't know. Yeah, I think, thank you so much, Patty. Yeah, I think council members are aware of that. I think it was more so just hoping that the individual would kind of speak as to why, because at the end of the day, like, these are part of their constituency. So we kind of wanted to clarify that. Tay?
Sorry. I just wanted to like ask, will we like revote again in case they change their mind, or is it like unethical? I don't know.
I don't think we can at this time, Tay. I think it's going to be, unfortunately, like, we're going to go down the line. I think moving forward, though, we learned this time that we should be straight up and everyone should say how much they're voting for. And moving forward, that is something I will be ensuring we do at the next surplus proposal. Prom?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you don't agree with the amount that's being voted on, you can vote no. And if the vote fails, then it could potentially be voted again. So, like,
wait, Prom, and I'm gonna ask you, do you think then it would be like we vote, everyone would have to, like, if we voted no, right? And then we would vote on a new amount, like what would happen then?
because wouldn't it be like if you don't agree with it and you vote no, then is it they don't get that fund amount, or would it be like they don't get funding at all? I guess that's also a question.
So what depends on how we motion, but if the motion is to move forward with the funding based upon the amounts, if the majority would have to vote in favor, and then it passes with the amounts. If the majority votes in negative, then the vote fails. And then I would say that we do one of two things. We would have to have discussion of why the vote failed. And if it's because of the amounts, then we can revote either this week or next week to come back with numbers. So promise is technically correct. If the vote fails, we could come back.
Yeah. So then essentially,
I just want to clarify, Patty, is there a time constraint on when we need to move forward with this vote? Does it have to be done this week?
No, it's just the time constraint is when students will have access to these funds. So it's more of a time sensitivity for their projects than an accounting side.
Yeah, so I do want to be that.
Oh, I was just going to quickly say that I think that since there are folks who are like upset that some numbers aren't fully funded, if it does fail, I do think that people would still be in the place to vote again today, um, especially like on a different number. But I don't know.
I can also point out, George and I were having a side conversation about this. There can also be an amendment that can be made to fully vote. And majority would need to pass that for full funds. If the majority of the council votes for that, then we can move forward to a full vote. So that is also another option to amend this proposal. So one of the two can take place.
Okay, so question mark. I don't know what folks are. Okay, promising that she thinks that would be preferable. Can I get like thumbs up? Like, do folks want to make an amendment and then we would vote for full amounts?
Yes, please.
Cool. Okay, so can I get a motion, please?
I move to make an amendment to do full amounts.
Or to vote on the full amount request.
To vote on the full amount requested.
Oh wait,
Can I get a
No. That's you would just make an amendment. The move should be, I move to amend that we fund full amount.
Oh, so we're
So,
voting
like-
right now. Everyone can get fully funded right now.
No. You're amending the current proposal.
So do we do it per proposal?
It depends on how you request the amendment.
Yeah, so promise, if you are requesting that everything, not you, sorry, whoever makes this motion, it moves to amend the USAC funds to fully fund all amounts as originally stated. That would be the amendment to, that would be the amendment to what is currently on the table, which is the averaged amount, if that makes any sense. We vote on that first, and then that would amend the proposal to fully fund, and then we would do a separate vote to fully fund, if that makes sense.
I guess I'm confused because I thought we voted individually on each surplus each surplus proposal.
So yeah, so what we would do is we're amending what you're doing is you're amending.
We're doing that after, right, Josh? So right now
Correct.
we're just gonna get a vote on moving to vote for full amount instead.
For full amount, correct. And then we would go individually down to each one.
Cass and Patty?
I know that I'm still kind of confused too, but I was wondering if the amendment can also, instead of just asking for the full amount for each proposal, can it just be a specific proposal? Because I know that when I asked Emily about the lab coat expansion, if she was okay with having it not fully funded, she said that it can work. So I thought that maybe we should go down each column and see if they're comfortable with a full amount or the averaged amount. So we can go down specific proposals if they want a full amount instead. I don't know if that makes sense.
Again, I want to remind folks, and again, I think this money will go back to the university if you do not spend it. So I think if we can spend it on lab coats, that would be better spent than it going back. But that's just my thoughts. So Emily?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I said, it can work because, technically it can, it can work. And, I was trying to be diplomatic, but it's also, I feel thank you, Talani, but I feel it, like it's going to help students. Like as I mentioned in my proposal, like it's an expensive like academic expense for many students. We have the demand already. Like I have data for it that a lot of students like really want. Oh, I know Cassandra, but I was just like saying like huge demand for it. Like also again, like the size problem is a huge problem because it's not like we already have an even amount of sizes among lab coats. Like we literally only have tiny people sizes, which is like not ideal. And like it, yeah. So where was I going with that? And it's also like, I mean, I feel like the 1,000 in particular was pretty small, and I do wish that there had been more discussion about that, given that like that is like I feel like a signifier of someone having like a pretty big problem with it, and I would love to discuss that if that's something we wanted to discuss.
Thanks, Emily. Prom?
Hey, sorry, I apologize for taking up so much space. I wanted to just clarify in regard to like voting, because I would like to for us to get to a vote. Like if we are able to vote per, because we do have to vote per item.
I think
I was just gonna say, like, can't we just like when we're doing the vote per item, like whoever motions, like, because anyone can motion it, even if it's yours. If you want full funding, like you can motion and say like motion to amend to that amount, and we vote whether or not we want that amount. Like, and people, does that make sense?
I think what Josh had messaged me right now is that we're just gonna motion to give all of
What Promise said can happen as well.
Okay.
So that we can go down and just follow it down. So, okay, George, I might need your help here. I think we need to make a motion to move forward with individual voting, if this is the way we want to go, to move forward with individual voting with each down the line for each one. And then if majority says yes on that, then we can move forward with what Promise says. That way we got to pull ourselves out of this average. It sounds like people do not want to move forward with this average. So we got to pull out of that for right now. So we need to move forward with a plan of what we want to do. So if Promise's proposal is on the table, Promise, I would actually ask you to make a motion right now. We vote on that, and then we move forward. George, that works, correct?
That could work. We're just clarifying the process, right? And I think that particular motion to move forward to vote individually is a good idea to then proceed with what Promise has provided.
Yes, and to answer Jane's question, when we move forward, it will be a public vote.
Okay. Pasta, then Jane.
Yeah, so for this vote, because in the original, please clarify, in the original agenda items, like the USAC, director pay stipend stuff is like one whole item, right? So every single office is in on this total. So does that change anything? Because we wouldn't be voting by office, right? We would have to vote by that large lump sum line item.
Well, I think that because someone voted to not give Cass and I the full amount, I think we need to go line by line.
Okay.
So I think that's why I would make that motion to move forward with individual
Office.
votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jane, and then can we get to a vote?
Yeah, so sorry. We'll be so quick about this. I just wanted to read it, if it's not in the minutes yet, in the minutes. So I know Promise and Pasa had said out loud what they had voted for in the averages thing. And I just want to put into the minutes that myself, Emily, Haley, Angie, Momina, Taylani, and Sarah had all voted on the form to fully fund every proposal and to not change the amount in the averages.
Okay. Great. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to move forward with voting on the allocations for surplus individually.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Prom motions, Jane seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. By a vote of 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the amendment is approved. Great. So now we're going to go line by line for each office. Can I get an why am I blanking right now? For FSC, can I get goodbye? I literally can't remember what it is.
We need
the motion. There you go.
We need a motion for an amount.
For the full amount.
Well, or for an amount, yes. We need someone to do a motion for an amount, yes.
Miss Emily, want to take it away?
I recommend whoever's office it is to just make the motion for what you want.
Cool. I move forward with $5,000 from surplus to FSC lab code expansion proposal.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Emily motions, Tay seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12 to 0 to 0, the motion passes. And Miss Emily, you are granted your full amount for FSC lab coats. Congratulations.
Breeze, I think it's 12 to 1 to 0 because people have to abstain.
Yeah, people.
Oh, there you go. Oops, it's 12 to 1 to 0. But congrats. Great. Moving on to FAC. Can I get a motion, please? Miss Jane?
Yes, I move to allocate $3,000 from surplus to the FAC transportation equity and access proposal.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Jane motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 11 to 1 to, oh, Sarah, sorry, are you abstaining? Oh, okay. By a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes and FAC is given the full 3,000 amount. Great. USAC and FICOM? I don't know if Jane, you want to take it away.
Yeah, I'm not sure for this one. I guess I'll do for the full amount. I guess I move to allocate $20,000 to the OSAC/FICOM storage proposal.
I see that one did have a bit more discrepancy in numbers. How are folks feeling about the full amount for that one?
I was gonna move not for the full amount, and the like rounded amount that's here. But I was just gonna vote no.
Patty?
Usually we'll want a second, then you can go into discussion and then make amendments. So you don't have to second and then immediately vote. You usually don't move into discussion before a second.
Okay, can I get a second?
Unless there's no second, and then there wouldn't have a vote, and you'd have to do another vote. So maybe George or Josh, if you have a recommendation, but you should have discussion in between.
Okay. Can I get a second, please?
I second.
Okay. We can have discussion now. How are folks feeling? Because that one I see it's very different in numbers.
I'd like to if folks are open, because I think Shane had also said that be totally good with a lower amount. I'd be good with moving forward with $18,084 and like motioning.
So Promise, you would be making an amendment to the proposal from 20,000 to 18,000. I don't remember what the
$84.
84. Okay.
Yeah, so I would like to make an amendment to the proposal from 20,000 to move forward with $18,084.
Is everyone okay with, or can I get a second? Sorry. Or wait, was that a motion?
Yeah.
I second.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your hands. By a vote of 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes, and USAC and FICOM is given 18,084. Allocated 18,084, sorry. Okay, SWC menstrual equity.
Breeze, I'm sorry. Sydney's having trouble with the notes. Who seconded that motion? I know Breeze made it. Who second?
I did.
Okay.
Keilani did, Sydney.
Yep. If we could just say names for Sydney on proposals and seconds, because there's so many right now, just for the notes. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I moved the
and
motion.
Natalia, yes. Natalia.
Sorry, I forgot to put my hand down.
Okay. Oh, Breeze, did you want to go?
Yeah, for SWC menstrual access and Miss Tay, you can take it away.
Okay. I move to allocate the full amount, which is $8,000, to the SWC menstrual access installation project.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Tay motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Wait, Jane?
Sorry.
No worries. By a vote of 12 to 0 to 0, 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes. And SWC is allocated $8,000 for the menstrual access project. Thank you so much. And congratulations, Tay. Now moving on to officer stipends. I know I can't do anything with this, but yeah, if someone can motion for me, LOL.
I move to allocate 12,265 and 54 cents to director stipends for Office of the President.
I second.
Cast motions, promise seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Tay. By a vote of 13 to 0 to 0, the motion passes, and my office is allocated the full amount of 12,265. Thank y'all so much. Moving on to IVP. Miss Cass?
I can motion for this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I move it to allocate 7,438 and 25 cents for director stipends for the Office of the Eternal Vice President.
Can I get a second?
I second.
So Cass motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And okay, all abstaining?
I abstain, right?
Yeah. So by a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes and IBP is allocated the full amount of $7,438.25. Moving on to the office of Gen Rep 1. Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I move to allocate the full amount of $4,612.90 to the stipends for Office of General Representative 1.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Haley motions, Prom seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, all abstaining. And by a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes and the office of Gen Rep 1 is allocated the full amount of $4,612.90. Moving on to the office of Gen Rep 2. Can I get a motion?
Sorry, I just have so many tabs open right now. Yep. I move to allocate the full amount of $1,984.82 to the Office of General Representative 2.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Pass some motions, Prom seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. All abstaining, please raise your hands. By a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes and the office of Gen Rep 2 is allocated the full amount of $1,984.82. Thank you so much. Moving on to the office of Gen Rep 3. Can I get a motion?
Carl, yes, you can motion via the chat. He's having trouble with his phone. So Carl's Gen Rep 3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do it for him?
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to type it. Okay. Okay, cool. I move to fully allocate the full amount, which is $3,561.08. Ooh, was that the right? Sorry, y'all. Ooh, I think I'm I was at the wrong office. My bad. Okay. I move to fully allocate $2,973.09 to the USAC Director stipend for Office of General Representative 3.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Tay motions, Jane seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. Or I don't know if Carl can abstain right now. If he's not getting good reception. Oh. Okay, we'll just say by a vote of 12 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the Office of Gen Rep 3 is allocated the full amount of $2,973.09. Awesome. Moving on to the Facilities Commission, Miss Jane.
Hello, I move to allocate $5,692 to Facilities Commission officer stipends.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Who? Jane motions, Natalia seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay. All abstaining, please raise your hands. By a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the Facilities Commission is allocated the full amount of $5,691.52 for director stipends. Great. Moving on to Office of the Transfer Rep. Can I get a motion, please?
Yes. I move to allocate, I believe is $6,952 for compensation for the transfer to the representative's office.
That would be 53. We round up.
Okay, 53.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I second.
Armand motions, Tay seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. All abstaining, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes, and the Office of the Transfer Rep is allocated the full amount of $6,952. And our last one of the night, ISR. So can I get a motion?
I move to approve $3,854 for compensation for the director of the ISR office.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Natalia motions, Cass seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes, and the Office of ISR is allocated the full amount of $3,854. Awesome. And just like that, we are done with.
Actually, we have to do FSC.
Oh, where's FSC? I can't see it in the. Which one is it?
We're second to last, column M.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. Can I get a motion, please?
Yep, all good. I move to allocate $3,562 to Financial Supports Commission for director and exec stipend.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Emily motions, Armand seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Okay. All abstaining, please raise your hands. By a vote of 12 to 1 to 0, the motion passes, and FSC is allocated the full amount of $3,562 for office stipends. Awesome. Okay, now we are all done with office stipend.
And Breeze, I just want to say for public record, anyone who had cents attached to their original motion, we are going to round up to the nearest dollar. So that doesn't change the motions. It's just from an accounting purpose. We want a solid dollar with no cents. We will never take away the cents. We will always round up to the nearest dollar, as we stated earlier.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. So with that, we are nearing the end. Thank you so much, folks, for sticking through. Fall council meeting. I would like us to have one falling council meeting, one in-person fall council meeting. The week of Thanksgiving would be week 9. So I know that folks might not be here. I personally want to take a full week going back home. So I personally don't think that that's a good week to have in-person meetings. As well as week 10, obviously, like we're nearing finals and it's been a stressful quarter. So I was going to propose, after speaking, we have next council meeting be in person, have that be the one council meeting we have in person, just to kind of get acclimated a bit, so it's not a big transition if we start to have in-person meetings come the winter quarter already. How are folks feeling about that? It would be a hybrid option, Sarah. Cass?
If this was in person, would public comment also be allowed to show up in person?
Yeah, it's hybrid, but I think we're only allowed 6 people at a time for public comment. So only 6 other people in the room can be present aside from us. Fernando? That folks can like stream in like on Zoom. Like if folks wanted to come for public comment, they should be on Zoom. Patty?
Sure. So I just want to clarify. So we can support if we want to do public comment as Zoom in and have students have the opportunity to discuss. But if we're doing in person, that we can't do hybrid with council members. It's just too difficult. We don't have that ability. Essentially, everyone would have to have their laptops be on Zoom, and then you're also going to be in the physical meeting. We've done it before previously in some summers and just didn't function very well. So I would recommend if we're doing it in person, that means it's in person for council members. The hybrid for the council members will be difficult if we're trying to facilitate conversation and half the members are in person, half are on Zoom. If the members in person aren't currently on Zoom. So just something we got to think through logistically, because it does pose some technical difficulties that way.
Yeah.
Maybe Josh has more insight of how that's,
Does the Broome, I think Pass is asking, does the Broome Viewpoint room have a large screen?
It does.
Yeah. I don't know how folks are feeling, and do folks want to have an in-person meeting? I think that we had talked about wanting to have one in person. Haley?
Personally, I'm not too sure I want to have in person. I know initially, like, I was pretty much on board, but for accessibility reasons, I know like some folks are going home on like Tuesdays and such, and also the fact that a lot of people are sick. Like, I've been struggling with the cough for the past 2 weeks, and I don't know when it's going to go away. Someone else might get another cough by the time that meeting comes around, and it just might not be the most conducive setting to being productive and like folks feeling comfortable in the space.
Sarah?
I was just gonna echo what Haley was saying. Like, I like just got over a cold and it's like going through my apartment. And so I like wouldn't want to sit in a closed room with all of you guys for so long, because council does go on quite late. So I think at least for fall quarter, when like the flu is going around, it might be a little safer until we can figure out like a hybrid option maybe to do it online.
Yeah. I can see that point of view as well. Yeah, maybe we can work on making a more hybrid and accessible model, but also want to remind folks that sometimes it's a little bit difficult. And I think that that was a thing that we had pressed, is because like, look right now, like everyone's screens are off. Like, it's kind of lonely out here. And I really wish that folks would try to turn on their screens more often, if they are able to. I know not all folks have that accessibility, but that is just something I do wish we could do. Jane?
Yeah, I just want to say I put this in the chat too. Maybe something that can happen is, like, I know I can help with this too, like working with Fernando and Patty to make hybrid more of like an option even for council members, so that council members, if they're sick, couldn't come, because I do understand that, like, I know for Breeze it's really hard since she has to lead the meeting to feel like people are engaged and people are more engaged in person. But it is also, we want to make sure that everyone's safety is up front. So I'd be definitely down to kind of like work on a more like efficient, I don't know if efficient is the word, like a better hybrid model to where council members could also be hybrid if they ever needed, but that encouraged council members to come in person just so that we can all be more engaged.
Tom?
Yeah, fully agree with everything Jane just said. And I guess like want to also advocate for us to at least have one in-person council meeting this quarter, especially even if we are gonna switch over, try to have a hybrid option. I think it would be really helpful to know what being in person for council feels like, and like how that functions for us so that we know how we can function in person, because we've been doing it on Zoom. And like, I think like having one, and also like next week is kind of like the only time when we can like test it out, would be really helpful. And I just wanted to advocate for that as well. But I definitely can see where folks are coming from. And I definitely do think that we should figure out a hybrid model or like a hybrid way of doing things, but we should also like give ourselves a chance to see how things are in person.
Yeah, I agree with Pasa. The BBRC does have a great hybrid model for the MO meetings. So how would folks feel about come the winter quarter us starting to go back in person?
With the caveat that we would not start that until at least week 2, because of the travel. Everyone is going to have to come back. They're going to have to get tested within the first week. So we would not start week 1, which, believe it or not, is the second day we come back. It's on, I believe, the 4th of January. January 3rd is first day of classes. January 4th would be our first meeting. So we would not start winter quarter in person until January 11th. Yeah, sorry, Breeze.
So close.
I know, it's horrible.
I'm
But you
failing
get
to
3
find
weeks
my way
of break, which is great.
Okay, how would folks feel about that? What Josh just proposed?
I would be fine with it. I'm also like fine like doing like a test drive next week too. Yeah. Oh, like exactly what Jane said.
Okay, so can folks give me one thing or another? Maybe type in the chat what you're leaning towards, and then we can motion for one of those things. Okay. Yeah. Don't come in person. Take your emergency, take your vitamin C, and don't come, please, if you are sick. I'm always sick, so manifesting I am not sick next week. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to have next week's USAC meeting in person.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Tay motions, Prom seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12-0, the motion passes. And next week's council meeting will be in Bruin Viewpoint Room at 7 p.m. And we will be holding a hybrid model. Awesome. Okay. Great. So yeah.
Hey, Breeze, just for a show of hands, would it be just okay, because Patty brings up a really good point. Can we just, by a show of hands, who will actually be in person next week or planning to come in person next week?
Well, I think Josh, like, I don't know if that's what we should do because I know that also folks might get sick between now and then.
Understood, but just so that we have an understanding of how many people are planning on coming, understanding that people might not be able to come, can we just do a show of hands real quick? Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, everyone. Yes, Sydney, you're included in this vote. Are you going to be? Pretty much just how many people are going to be in the room. It looks like we're looking between 13 or 15 people.
And a reminder, folks, that during this meeting, we have to keep our masks on at all times. I know y'all are very COVID conscious, but just want to keep that reminder up. Great. Okay. Cass, I'm going to pass it off to you for fall retreat discussion.
Hi, so it was recommended that I add this to the agenda so we can figure it out. But I know that a lot of people have expressed having an in-person retreat for council instead of an online one. And I just wanted to hear people's thoughts and if we can decide, because then I would have to probably talk to Josh or any of the admins about how we can do that in person. But yeah. Are there any thoughts? Emily?
I think it would be nice to do an in-person retreat, but just of course with the understanding that if someone's sick, not to come.
Yeah, I agree that we should also be like practicing COVID guidelines as well. Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, what Emily said, and then maybe like we could plan some like more outdoorsy activities for like stay out in the courtyard.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, if not, I think we can vote. Breeze, do you want to facilitate the vote?
Yeah, Cass, when will we have it?
I would have to send another like one to me for later on dates.
Oh, then I don't think we would even have to vote. I don't think we vote. It was just
I think it's like voting if we want it to be in person or online. Because during the summer we voted online and then but now it was like brought up of having it in person instead.
Okay. Can I get a motion, please?
I motion to move the USAC officer retreat to in person.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Motions pass a second. All in favor, please raise your hands. And by a vote of 12-0-0, the motion passes. No, 13-0-0, the motion passes, and fall retreat will be in person. Council retreat, I mean, will be in person. Great. And I think that covers all the items in the agenda. So I motion to adjourn this meeting. I move to adjourn this meeting at 10:15 p.m. Fernando, please stop.
Recording stopped.
Yay.